Imagine falling asleep beneath a gentle sky, the stars distant and serene, the familiar rhythms of night washing over your senses. You might glance upward and feel a quiet reassurance, a sense that the universe beyond is vast, yet passive, uninterested in the fleeting complexities of daily life on Earth. But the story of the sky, especially our sun, is not always such a peaceful lullaby. For most of your nights and days, the sun appears as a steady companion, a silent clock, a giver of warmth and light. It is so ever-present and reliable that you might rarely wonder what it is truly capable of. Yet, high above, beyond the tranquil blue, the sun hides a more volatile self, one that, every so often, breaks the peace with an outpouring of immense energy. These eruptions, called solar storms, are ancient messengers, wild, invisible blasts that hurl through the darkness, sometimes striking Earth with consequences we only partly understand. As you listen now, you might be aware that scientists are quietly watching the sky again, alert, signaling a dawning concern. In the coming year, the cycle of the sun is reaching its peak, increasing its activity, and with it comes a renewed sense of uncertainty. Satellites, power grids, and the delicate webs of connection that bind our world could be vulnerable, just as they were over 160 years ago. There is a growing sense, almost a whisper in the corridors of science and government, that humanity could soon be reminded of the true power of its nearest star. But this is not the first time. People have looked up and wondered if the sun might someday fight back. What if, hidden within our stories, our ancient myths, and the stone records left by those who came before us, there lies a fragmented memory, a warning that the sky has punished us once before? If so, what did our ancestors see? Would echoes of ruined nights, burning skies, and days of confusion survive as more than just stories told around dying embers? Would we even know what to look for? Tonight, as the world quiets around you and the soft hush of nighttime settles in, let yourself drift back through the years. We will travel not only to the day the sky burned in the age of the telegraph, but also much further, to the wisdom and warnings of ancient civilizations, to myths of fire and forgotten catastrophe, and finally to the hopes and fears that define our understanding of the sun today. We begin a meditation on cosmic memory, on gentle awe in the presence of relentless power. Tonight we look to the sun, not simply as the great life-bringer, but as a keeper of secrets, and as a silent narrator of our most extraordinary and hidden fears. Imagine yourself in late August of 1859, the world washed in the quiet comfort of routine. The Industrial Revolution, though in its infancy, hums gently through the countryside. Telegraph wires loop across fields, quietly knitting cities and towns into a tenuous web of instant communication. The newest miracle of human ingenuity, the telegraph, buzzes softly in the background of modern life, bridging distance with simple electric code in a quiet English village. Before the sun has fully climbed above the horizon, an amateur astronomer named Richard Carrington prepares for his daily observations. He is a meticulous man, accustomed to solitude, his days measured by the slow sweep of sky and the meticulous marking of sunspots on a white disk through the lens of his telescope. That morning, the sky is particularly clear, the air holding a gentle stillness that precedes a revelation. Carrington circles the sun's image on his paper. He is not seeking drama, only fulfilling a habit of careful observation. But suddenly, he notices something peculiar. A bright patch erupting on the surface of the sun, brighter than any sunspot he has recorded. It is a flash, almost playful in its brilliance, and, for a moment, Carrington is simply transfixed. Then, as quickly as it appeared, the light fades, leaving him with heart pounding and a sense that nature has quietly shifted beneath his feet. Elsewhere in the world, there is no sign, at least not yet, of what has happened. The day unfolds with the slow, comforting rhythm of farm work, market chatter, and the clicking of telegraph keys in distant offices. There is no inkling that the calm of the morning hides a sleeper storm, crouched in the darkness between earth and sun. No one, not even Carrington, realizes that the sun has set in motion a chain of events that will echo through history as you picture this morning. A humble observer glimpsing something extraordinary. The world oblivious, routine unmarred. Let that sense of anticipation draw you gently forward. The rhythm of life continues, but above the clouds, invisible forces now race to embrace the planet in a most unfamiliar way. As the sun quietly slips across the sky, Earth remains unsuspecting of what is to come. It is almost as if nature itself has taken a deep breath, holding a rare moment of tranquility, only to release something unpredictable. The day draws on, evening approaches. Somewhere in the far stretches of space, a cloud of charged solar particles accelerates toward Earth, unseen, unstoppable. Hours after Richard Carrington's mysterious observation, the world's first signs of disturbance are subtle. In nights gone by, the aurora borealis might linger distantly on the northern horizon, green and violet curtains undulating over Arctic snows. But this night brings something different altogether. Darkness has fully set in when, in places as far south as Cuba and Jamaica, citizens step outside to witness an eerie shimmer rolling across the heavens like silent, colored fire. The sky blossoms with ribbons of crimson, green, and violet. Arches and rays flickering so bright they seem to chase away the stars. For the inhabitants of New York, Paris, and Havana alike, this nocturnal display of brilliance is as confounding as it is beautiful. Some attribute the colors to city lights. Others, drawn from sleep by the radiant glow at their windows, find themselves gazing upward in awe and confusion. In the countryside, seasoned farmers begin their daily work hours before dawn, believing the sun is already rising. Such is the intensity of the light, but as spellbinding as the auroras are, they are only the prelude. Down below, in telegraph offices busy with coded transmissions, operators notice something strange. Sparks flicker along the telegraph wires. Keys jump, hissing, electric charge surging in the dry air. Some operators are shocked physically. Some see their machines briefly function with no battery at all, powered entirely by the energies now coursing through the earth. Paper burns, and reports stream in of fires igniting from these outbursts. In the face of these phenomena, confusion and excitement ripple through both city and countryside, a gentle chaos riding on the back of wonder. Imagine the profound strangeness, the awe and fear braided together in the night, as civilization is gently reminded just how delicate its new technologies remain. In these hours, there is a mesmerizing sense that the world is both ancient and newborn. A place where the sky, once thought untouchable, literally touches back. Let the quiet thrill of this moment settle in. Just for a while, listen to the world's pulse, interrupted by the unexpected, as mystery and revelation become woven into the ordinary life of a single night. Now, imagine the world illuminated by not only the sun's day, but its unexpected night. As the solar storm's invisible energy collides with Earth's magnetic field, the skies are transformed, no longer familiar, but enveloped in a shimmering, ghostly fire. The auroras ripple far beyond their usual realms, reaching out from the threshold of the Arctic to the depths of the tropics, bathing cities and countrysides alike in a glow impossible to ignore. In Havana, delicate plumes of light reach upward, pale and spectral above the palm trees. To those who have never known the aurora, the phenomenon verges on the miraculous, or even the omenesque. Across the American South, in places where the most vibrant sky is typically reserved for sunsets, people wander into open streets and fields, faces cast upward in disbelief, watching as the celestial canvas comes alive with shifting color and silent motion, from Quebec to Colorado, and as far south as Monterey in Mexico. Letters and diaries record the night, glistening blood-red and green lights. Write some. The reading of the newspaper was possible by aurora alone, note others. Stories traverse continents, carried by travelers and newspaper wires, describing the phenomenon in tones of hope, anxiety, and awe. There are those who sit quietly, on porches, wrapped in blankets, feeling both comforted and unsettled. As the rhythm of night is multiplied, deepened by the unnatural radiance overhead. It is a night when animals stir, farm roosters crow at times which make no sense, and city guards report near daylight illuminating their rounds. For many, the sky is now a living scroll, its message unfathomable but mesmerizing. There is little sense of threat in the light itself, only the profound bewilderment that accompanies the intrusion of the extraordinary into the world's ordinary pulse. Throughout history, auroras have always kindled stories of gods at war, of ancestors sending messages, of cosmic rivers and sacred veils. But tonight, these stories are written not in legend, but in the soft hush and quiet conversations that fill the midnight hours. The rhythm of humanity persists, now accompanied by an ancient, wordless song from the heights. Let this blanket of light, gentle but vast, settle across your imagination. Picture yourself cradled beneath a sky ablaze with rare beauty, caught between comfort and awe, suspended in a time where the heavens have quietly, insistently demanded attention. As the world gazes upward, enchanted by the night's rare beauty, a different phenomenon brews in the arteries of human communication. Inside cramped telegraph offices and along miles of taut wire, spanning forests, rivers, and distant cities, a silent battle unfolds. The invisible force that paints the sky with color does not stop at the barrier of the atmosphere. It slips downward, threading unseen currents through copper and iron. Telegraph operators, keepers of the 19th centuries, digital pulse, are among the first to feel the effects. Hands poised over keys, poised for routine communication, they are startled as their instruments leap to unexpected life. Wires, which should tremble only with their finely controlled surges, suddenly seethe with energy. Messages are recorded, with no power supplied by batteries, yet the circuits snake and spark as if inhabited by their own wild spirit. Sparks leap between contacts, paper curls and darkens beneath the smell of scorched insulation. In some offices, fires ignite, small but menacing, sending the pungent odor of burning resin and cotton into cramped rooms, thick with tension and confusion. Operators, many of them seasoned by years of uneventful transmissions, report receiving electric shocks, not just from broken machines, but from machines that seem to awaken unaided by human hand. Yet, even amid the disruption, certain operators discover they can send messages extraordinary distances, sometimes more clearly than ever before, powered by what they call celestial batteries. This unpredictable power, both a wonder and a sudden danger, makes for a night that is remembered with equal parts fascination and trepidation. Reports flood in, not only of damage, but also of a technology briefly liberated from its inventions, controlled by the unbidden energy of the cosmos, standing at the threshold of industrial power and cosmic mystery. The world's communication network transforms into a strange hybrid, sometimes advancing, sometimes faltering. The modern miracle of distance shrinking wires blazes with potential, yet is reminded of its infancy by an indifferent sky. For a moment, the proud achievements of humanity's ingenuity stand exposed, fragile against an unseen force. The telegraph, symbol of modern conquest, is now a delicate string plucked without warning by the sun itself. Imagine the rhythm of those moments. The Morse code stuttering under a celestial hand, the mix of awe and helplessness that accompanies unprecedented change. Drift deeper into this historical night, feeling the quiet reverberations in each pulse of the wire, and let those subtle echoes become part of your own evening calm. As the auroras dance overhead and the telegraph wires shimmer with unnatural energy, the world must make sense of this unforeseen event. In the cities and the countryside, news spreads swiftly, weaving threads of awe and anxiety through the hearts of those on the ground. Unlike the silent acceptance of distant celestial events, the Carrington event is immediate, visceral. It invades routine, forcing every observer to interpret the sky's message for themselves. In the heart of bustling metropolises, newspapers seize the story, printing breathless accounts of the burning sky. Editors, ever looking for the extraordinary, contrast reports of scientific curiosity with those drenched in superstition. Some speculate that this is a harbinger of the world's end, while others excitedly tout it as a spectacle never before seen by living memory. In quiet rural towns, pastors and elders reference ancient verses and prophecies, urging communities to pray, reflect, or simply marvel together at the strangeness of it all. Letters penned during these hours reveal a spectrum of emotions. In 1, a mother describes her children's terror, unable to sleep as the crimson glow fills their windows, whispering about omens and stories passed down through generations. In another, a young couple strolls hand in hand beneath the shimmering sky, surrendering to awe instead of fear, their private wonder making the event feel intimate, almost sacred. Diaries, now time-worn, are filled with sketches of the phenomenon and the hurried, looping script of those compelled to record what they can barely comprehend. Meanwhile, telegraph operators, newly minted custodians of the world's messages, are divided between pride in their craft and disquiet at seeing their machines possess a life of their own. Some seek rational explanations, poring over tattered scientific journals in dimly lit offices. Others simply surrender to amazement, scribbling out what becomes, for the first time, real-time scientific observation of a cosmic event. Not all responses are so measured. In places, fear temporarily overwhelms wonder. Some farmers round up their livestock against an imagined calamity. Others seek guidance from priests or astronomers, unsure whether to prepare for disaster or simply sleep through the night, and hope for peace at dawn. As the hours pass and the world moves collectively, from anxiety to calm, a sense of unity emerges. Conversations, by firelight or in salons, across continents and languages, circle around the same question. What could cause such a thing? Why now? And could it happen again? Let the gentle commotion of that night gradually settle into a quiet, communal curiosity. The sky has delivered a rare lesson, one that the world will spend generations trying to unravel. As dawn gently brightens the horizon, the luminous skies of the night before dissolve into muted daylight. The world, anxious and wide-eyed from hours spent beneath the aurora's glow, must now reckon with the quieter realities left behind. Across continents, the first rays of sunlight reveal not only a changed sense of cosmic scale, but also tangible marks upon the inventions and lives that were touched by the storm. Telegraph offices, those nerve centers of communication, open their doors onto rooms scattered with evidence of the night's turmoil. Some are filled with the acrid scent of charred wire. Others house machines still warm to the touch, their keys askew, with bits of scorched paper lying in small, ashen fragments underfoot. Reports meander in telegraph lines, usually reliable as sunrise, have been blackened or rendered inert. Repairs are now underway by bleary-eyed operators and engineers, their movements unhurried yet purposeful. The rhythm of recovery slipping back into place after a sleepless, awe-filled night. In city papers and coffeehouse chatter, accounts crowd the morning with recitations of extraordinary phenomena. Scientists, both professional and amateur, find themselves suddenly at the center of attention, asked again and again what force could have bent the night in so unusual a direction. Some propose new theories, like swarms of electrical particles, or unseen energies, but all agree. The Earth itself became briefly and unexpectedly electric, yet the scope of the disaster is curiously limited. The telegraph, remarkable but still rare, is the only true technological casualty. Trains still run as scheduled, factories resume their daily churn, and daily life carries on with only the most subtle of hesitations. The few unfortunate fires, mostly small, are quickly forgotten amidst the wonder and fear of what was witnessed above, on farms and in small towns. Those who work the land take note of confused livestock, unsettled birds, and erratic crops. But the world, mostly untouched by wider infrastructure, feels the crisis settle as softly as it came. Memories slowly transforming into tales told at twilight. Embellishing the night, the sky burned with each passing season. There is, however, an undercurrent, a sense that humanity, despite its growing mastery over electricity and industry, remains deeply vulnerable. The sun, so familiar and gentle in its daily arrival, now holds a secret edge, a power unpredictable and largely unseen. This awakening to cosmic vulnerability lingers just beneath the comfort of routine, a quiet reminder clinging to the memory of colored fires and sparking wires. Let yourself linger on this gentle aftermath, the blend of relief, wonder, and renewed respect for the silent forces overhead. The world continues, but it is ever so slightly changed. As the world gradually returns to the familiar rhythm of daily life. Richard Carrington, the quiet English observer whose morning vigilance marked the beginning of this story, is left to contemplate what he witnessed. Alone in his study, the memory of the blinding flare on the face of the sun lingers in his mind, refusing to be reduced to a mere note in the logbook. The image, so brilliant and sudden, now glows as a symbol of hidden powers that connect celestial events to the goings-on of humankind. Carrington's diligent record-keeping becomes the first critical link in assembling the puzzle of what has happened. His sketches, precise and calm, showed the sudden burst of light, a solar flare emerging from the surface of the sun. Just as the world's telegraph networks were overwhelmed, in the days and weeks that follow, Carrington corresponds with other scientists and astronomers across Europe and North America, together poring over observations and matching timelines. they gradually begin to form a new understanding that the sun, far from being a perfect lamp in the sky, is a dynamic, sometimes tumultuous sphere. This moment, modest in its surroundings, yet seismic in consequence, marks the birth of what we quietly call space weather science. It is the gentle dawn of the realization that what happens 93 million miles away on the solar surface can ripple across the vast and silent darkness, touching even the smallest mechanisms of human invention. The interconnectedness of sky and earth becomes clearer, woven together by lines of light and invisible currents. For Carrington, this new field invites humility rather than hubris. He seeks not to dominate the sun's power, but to understand its rhythms. His work, patient and rigorous, sets the foundation for future scientists who will one day watch the sun with even greater vigilance and precision, measuring its moods, and anticipating the storms that once arrived without warning. Imagine Carrington at his desk, sunlight filtering through heavy curtains, surrounding him with a soft, golden glow. Around him, the tools of his trade rest in orderly rows. Telescopes, journals, ink-stained papers, a setting as serene as the morning he first watched the sky catch fire. He is comforted and unsettled by the knowledge that humanity now stands at the edge of a new frontier, its tools linked to the wild harmonies of the wider cosmos. As you drift deeper, follow the quiet thread from Carrington's moment of insight to the wider tapestry of discovery and wonder it inspired, a story that continues to shape how we understand our place, not just beneath the sun, but within its sphere of influence. In the weeks and months following the spectacle, the memory of the burning skies begins, quietly but inevitably, to fade from daily consciousness. The telegraph wires are mended, the charred insulation replaced, the extraordinary auroras become stories told in family circles and recounted in letters later tucked away in attics. The pace of life, unhurried, resumes its familiar cadence, gently absorbing the shock of the cosmic event into the broader tapestry of history. For most, the Carrington event is that, and even remarkable but not alarming, exciting but distant. Its effects, dramatic as they seemed, are limited to an age just awakening to modern technology. As with so many wonders and terrors of the natural world, the collective mindset is practical. Repairs are made, life moves forward, and the sun returns to being a steady companion. Only a handful of scientists and dreamers persist in asking questions about what this might mean for the future. In print, the stories shrink from front page news to curious anecdotes. The fascination gives way to other pressing matters: the steady march of industry, nascent political tensions, and the unending business of living. The bright scars of the aurora are painted over by the delicate palette of new seasons, yet beneath this placid forgetting, a subtler shift endures. The Carrington event, while unheeded by most, lodges itself in the background of certain minds. Those who build, who observe, who imagine what else the sky is capable of. It becomes a quiet seed that will, over the next century and a half, germinate into deeper inquiries about the vulnerability of human advancement in the face of cosmic unpredictability. This gradual forgetting is itself a kind of comfort, a sign of the mind's resilience, its preference for what is routine over what is uncertain. The extraordinary folds into the ordinary, and caution softens into acceptance. For decades, reference to the event persists only in the scientific realms, whispered between quiet scholars and recurring in the footnotes of technical papers. Imagine whole generations living beneath the same sun, unaware that it has ever lashed out with such intensity. There is a lull, a tranquility restored, though beneath it, unknown to many, lies the possibility of another day when the sky might again turn strange. Allow this quiet forgetfulness to wrap around you, soothing and soft, a gentle veil upon the anxious excitement of disaster. The world turns, the sun shines on, and humanity continues, comforted by the silence that settles after a storm. Let your thoughts drift from quiet 19th century landscapes to the hum of the present, where every moment is laced with an invisible web of technology. Imagine the immense difference a solar storm of Carrington's caliber would make if it unfolded. Now, in our deeply interconnected world, unlike the 1850s, where the telegraph was the height of global communication, today's societies rely on satellites, cellular towers, and countless miles of power lines, each delicately balanced, each susceptible to forces from beyond our atmosphere. The gentle, persistent hum of electricity that fills our modern days and nights would, under the fury of a similar solar outburst, become unpredictable, perhaps even stilled. Scientists now understand the vulnerability. A coronal mass ejection, like the one that arrived in 1859, would collide with Earth's magnetic field, causing surges in long-distance power lines and burning out transformers. Whole cities could plunge into darkness, not for hours, but for weeks. Satellites, so vital for navigation, communication, and even weather prediction, could be knocked off course, their electronics disabled by the storm's charged particles. Air travel might face sudden disruptions as polar routes become hazardous, showered with radiation that normally glances harmlessly off the upper atmosphere. Financial markets, dependent on instant communication, could falter. Hospitals, dependent on lifelines of electronic record-keeping and instant power, would scramble for backup. The engines of commerce, education, and even friendship, the gentle daily pulse of the internet, would suddenly go quiet, replaced by an anxious stillness. For most, these risks would not be clear until the sudden moment of failure. For others, warnings whisper quietly, almost unheard, as solar scientists and engineers model worst-case scenarios and governments quietly test emergency protocols. Plans are made and quietly, humbly filed away, against the unlikely but possible return of the day the sky might burn again. Yet, alongside this vulnerability, there is resilience. Communities, families, and individuals practiced at flexibility in the face of the unexpected. The modern world, just like its ancestors, finds reassurance in routines and humor, patience and resourcefulness, even when the sky turns wild, slowly. Let your mind rest in the realization that the sun, powerful and often silent, is watched now. With greater understanding, although we are more vulnerable, we are also more prepared, more aware of our place in the intricate fabric of the cosmos, living in the gentle shadow of possibility. Let yourself experience the gentle, invisible continuity between past and present, a sky that, though appearing unchanged, quietly remembers every storm it has witnessed. High above, the sun's energy travels across space as it always has, quiet, patient, and indifferent to the passage of centuries. The cosmos retains the memory of nights when fire danced from pole to pole, and the boundary between the ordinary and the extraordinary shimmered thin, even as nearly 2 centuries have passed. Memories of the Carrington Event remain, carried forward not only by scientists and historians, but also reverberating, almost mythically, in the imagination. Each observation station stationed at Earth's magnetic latitudes, each research satellite poised above the blue curve of our planet, keeps a silent vigil, The instruments whisper a quiet reminder to humanity that the phenomena witnessed by bewildered farmers and telegraph operators were not aberration, but possibility. One ripple among countless more that might someday arrive. The subtle echoes persist in art and literature, too. The drama of a sky alight inspires creativity, caution, and reverence. Sometimes the stories surface in whispers, a child's question beneath an odd display of northern lights, or in the old tales spun by firelight, handed down as fragments of the night when day nearly returned in full. Every so often, as solar activity rises and auroras ignite in unusual places, headlines revive the wonder and quiet fear first felt in 1859. Space weather warnings slip into the news, and the world listens, if only for a moment, to stories long dormant. For scientists, each new flare, each patterned burst of energy, is a mystery, an opportunity to measure, to learn, and to remember. Perhaps you feel now a closeness to these rhythms, as steady and patient as breath. The sky that remembers is not so far away. Its secrets drift gently above us, weaving yesterday's wonders into the fabric of tonight's sleep. The resonance of history persists, a soft and calming reminder that while the sun's power is immense, so too is our capacity for remembrance and understanding. Let its memory comfort you, a link across time that connects humble witnesses to ancient energies with the quiet, collective awe of those who still pause to look up. Close your eyes and imagine a time before telegraphs, before cities of glass and wire, when the rhythm of life was measured by the slow arc of the sun across an open sky. In those ancient worlds, fertile valleys, mountain highlands, and salt-brushed coasts, humanity looked upward for answers, comfort, and sometimes warning. The heavens were not just a distant spectacle, but a living, breathing calendar, filled with change and subtle story. Scholars and dreamers alike find themselves irresistibly drawn to the question: did the ancients ever witness something akin to the Carrington Event? Could their myths and stonework, their careful alignments and celestial rituals, encode memory of burning skies? Across the continents, the evidence lies scattered, not as a single record, but as a chorus of whispers in monuments and legends. Step into a chamber deep within the Egyptian desert, where shafts of light are channeled through stone at particular dates, illuminating the heart of the temple. Consider the carefully arranged stones of the British Isles, horizons marked with notches that coincide with the sun's wanderings. Envision the great ziggurats of Mesopotamia, stacked towards the heavens in patterns that echo celestial order in each. There is an undercurrent of reverence, yet also a shade of caution. Stories carved into temple walls or woven into spoken tales speak not just of a nurturing sun, but of a radiant power at times relentless and devouring. Ancient astronomers, observing the synchronicity of celestial cycles, sometimes describe a sun that falters, fights, or falls into darkness, only to re-emerge with renewed vigor. These clues, a mosaic more than a map, encourage us to look closer, to read between the lines and stones. Consider how a society with no electrical wires, but an abundance of curiosity and patience, might respond to a sky suddenly filled with night fires. Would they immortalize it in legend? Would their scribes record an omen, their priests perform rituals, their builders shape monuments to capture the memory, if only in symbol and shadow? As the wind whispers across lost ruins and starlit fields, these are the questions that quietly linger, waiting for another curious mind to listen. Let this gentle meditation on ancient testimony guide your drifting thoughts. Sense the rhythm of old worlds attuned to sun and sky, holding on to secrets we are only beginning to uncover. Imagine yourself in the high, sun-baked mesas of the American Southwest, where ancient stone villages guard the horizon and the modern world feels especially distant. Here, among the Hopi people, traditions flow gently through the generations. Stories are spoken in hushed tones beneath the open, cloudless vault of a sky so vast it seems to cradle both past and future. The Hopi, like many indigenous peoples, have watched the sun's cycles with patient reverence, their ceremonies and calendars guided by its rhythmic journey. Yet their stories do not only celebrate the nurturing sun, they are seasoned with hints of a more volatile, unpredictable force. Among the prophecies passed down through centuries is a tale simply referred to as the red sky. This prophecy describes a time when the sky will be aflame, a world awash in crimson and the pulse of great changes. In some interpretations, it is an omen of transformation, of endings and new beginnings, when the order of things is upended beneath a burning dome. The elders speak calmly of Maso, the spirit of death and fire, and of Casinas whose dance reflects the struggle of light against darkness, order against chaos. Scholars and anthropologists read the Hopi prophecies and wonder, were these warnings born of poetic imagination or distant memory? Could they echo a time when auroras, usually confined to northern reaches, washed across the mesas, perceived not as beauty, but as harbinger? Could a memory of night turned day, or sunlight colored with unnatural fire, have been folded into the Hopi's living narratives? There is no definitive answer. The prophecy remains a tapestry of metaphor and quiet caution, a gentle invitation to respect forces beyond human control. The rhythm of Hopi life, attuned to subtle changes in the sky and landscape, carries forward a reminder that the sun can both nourish and unsettle, its cycles sacred and mysterious. As you rest, imagine the sensation of a people long attuned to natural cycles, quietly pondering the meaning of sudden red in the heavens. A vision poised between ordinary experience and cosmic mystery, between comfort and awe. Let your mind wander now to the northern forests and windswept shores of Scandinavia, where night falls with a velvet hush and the cold air is alive with stories. In the mythic tapestry of the Norse, the sky is a stage for relentless drama, shadowed equally by dread and wonder. Here, the sun is not an abstract symbol, but a goddess, SL, who drives her chariot across the heavens, her passage both a blessing and a chase in these sagas. SL is relentlessly pursued by a wolf, Skull, who longs to devour her. By day, sunlight reigns over snow and timber. By night, the chase resumes, unceasing, hinting always at the peril hidden behind seeming certainties. The ending of this cosmic pursuit is prophesied as Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods, when the wolf finally catches SL and chaos unfurls across the world. The boundaries between light and dark, order and wildness, life and destruction. These are the subtle textures woven into every telling beneath the flicker of firelight. But if you listen gently to these legends, you may hear more than poetry or metaphor, like the aurora, draping liquid green and crimson across Viking homelands. The myth may echo lived experience. Did the Norse, in their time, ever witness a night when the sun's rival flared unexpectedly, tinting the skies with colors usually hidden far to the north? A child at the longhouse window might look out, transfixed, as the sky abruptly burned or shimmered, and elders would shape the tale. It is SL, fleeing her pursuer. Such stories, carefully preserved through oral tradition and later inscribed on parchment, blend cosmic drama and quiet instruction. They urge caution, humility, and respect for the unpredictable turns of nature. The wolf's pursuit reminds all that even the sun, seemingly invincible, exists within a universe whose cycles include darkness and renewal. In this sense, myth becomes a vessel for awe and memory, safeguarding the rhythm of extraordinary skyfire within culture itself as sleep nears. Let your thoughts drift among snow-laden pines and shadowy meat halls, where even the warmth of a hearth is set beneath an ancient sky that is never quite tamed. Now, travel in your imagination to the humid, emerald rainforests of Mesoamerica, and then across desert sands to the timeless dignity of the Nile Valley. Here, two of the world's most sophisticated sky-watching civilizations, the Maya and the ancient Egyptians, left behind enduring records of the heavens, their entire worlds calibrated to the movements of the sun, the moon, and the stars. The Maya, whose stepped pyramids rise above tangled jungle, revered the sun as the heart of their cosmic calendar. Their priests, mathematicians, and artists chronicled events of both the earth and the sky with unrivaled precision. Glyphs carved into limestone, painted on codices, or woven into date stones, speak not only of routine eclipses and solstice alignments, but occasionally of sky anomalies. Blazing fires, jaguar nights, and serpent sky events. Some scholars quietly wonder if passages describing the sky split by fire or days, ending in red dawns and blood-colored rains, are not only metaphorical, but could encode memories of extraordinary auroral displays or solar storms, witnessed in a time before the Spanish chroniclers ever arrived in Egypt. A similarly sacred relationship with the sun pervaded every aspect of life and death. Each day Ra, the sun god, was imagined as embarking across the sky in his bark, only to descend into the underworld and fight night's terrors before rising anew. The pharaohs aligned their temples and obelisks with mathematical rigor, crafting rituals and architecture to capture first and last light with astonishing fidelity. Ancient papyri record omens of heaven on fire and sky turning to blood, events which sometimes presaged political or environmental upheaval. Were these vivid warnings, literary devices, the echo of rare dust storms, or remnants of an encounter with strange solar phenomena, auroras reaching south, or the shock of a great storm? The truth glows softly within metaphor and record both. While historians debate, the rhythm of these ancient cultures tells us that their people never took a tranquil sun for granted. The Mayan daykeepers and Egyptian astronomer priests alike lived attuned to both reassurance and risk, carefully observing the same sun we see today. Let your imagination linger among the pyramids and plazas, near the sacred wells and temple steps, awed by a time when the burning sky was both mystery and message, a memory etched deeply in stone, passed softly in legends from one generation's night to the next. Let your senses drift across the sweeping landscapes where ancient hands shaped great structures to honor and track the sun. Across continents, the urge to follow the sun's path was nearly universal. Its brilliance beckoned for attention, reverence, and study. Even today, the remnants of these endeavors hold silent testimony to centuries of cosmic curiosity and caution. Picture the golden disk of the Inca, known as the Inti, resting in quiet splendor over the holy city of Cusco, or the glinting sun, shields held aloft in ritual processions at dawn. Each was more than ornament. It was an offering, a plea for the sun's favor, and a reminder of its absolute power, sometimes gentle, sometimes fierce, The disk shown not just as symbol, but as instrument, with priests poised to mark the precise days when the sun changed its tempo or appearance. Across the riverbanks of Egypt, monumental obelisks thrust skyward, sharp silhouettes cast against the desert's blue dome. These stone markers functioned as sun clocks for the nation, catching the morning's first light and the evening's last. Their symbolism ran deep: stability, continuity, eternal vigilance, carved with hieroglyphs that often praised the unending cycles of dawn and dusk. They also warned of the dire consequences for neglecting the sun's rituals or misunderstanding its omens. Deeper into the jungles and high plateaus, the Maya and other Mesoamerican peoples carved immense calendar stones, aligning their temples and ball courts to solstice and equinox alike. The entire city of Chichén Itzá breathes in time with the sun. A shadow serpent descends its steps at each equinox, an echo of cosmic order and, perhaps, a veiled memory of more erratic acts of the heavens. The Aztec sunstone, circular and imposing, encodes eras of destruction and renewal, hinting at a cultural rhythm poised between trust and uncertainty, vigilance and awe. Even at the far-flung reaches of Stonehenge or the ancient observatories of the southwest, the same impulse is clear: stones and markers rhythmically aligned, silently dialoguing with the movements of dawn and dusk, their creators quietly noting not only life-bringing radiance, but the rare disruptions that unsettled the sky. Feel the profound continuity, the heartbeat across ages, each disk, obelisk, and stone a gentle whisper, saying, "We watched. We remembered." The sun's gifts can quickly become warnings. These enduring instruments call us, softly, to remember and respect both the grace and the caprice of the heavens. Imagine settling into the rhythms of a world where time itself is shaped not by mechanical clocks, but by the unhurried journey of sunlight over fields, forests, and stone. In such a world, the daily, seasonal, and yearly movements of the sun are not just a backdrop, they form the gentle, pulsing heart of all existence. From daybreak ceremonies to harvest festivals, the rise and fall of daylight became a quiet guide, gently structuring both work and wonder. Among the ancient Egyptians, sacred cycles governed life and death alike. Rituals synchronized with the solar calendar accompanied not only the planting of crops, but the opening of tombs and the coronation of kings. Priests rose before dawn to greet the first light, painstakingly recording each appearance of Ra's golden disk. They chronicled rare sun anomalies, days of interrupted daylight, odd colors, or the mysterious veiling of the sun, with a blend of concern and reverence, weaving such moments into their spiritual tapestry. In the Americas, the Maya built observatories to track the zenith passages of the sun, marking the start of the rainy season or the onset of drought. Their codices, surviving the flames of centuries, calculate eclipses and rare alignments, but also reference nights illuminated in strange color or daylight twisted by fire. These notations, humble as they appear, tether their world to the knowledge that cosmic rhythms are reliable, yet occasionally punctuated by surprises, solar wonders, or perhaps even catastrophes high in the Norse lands. Cycles of midnight sun and long sunless winters imprinted cosmic drama upon human imagination. Here stories and rituals followed the waxing and waning of light with particular intensity. The people's reliance on the sun's predictable return after darkness, amid mystical tales of its being consumed or chased, instilled appreciation as well as an abiding wariness. for the rare occasions when the heavens seemed to behave in unfamiliar ways. Across cultures, the careful tally of sunrises, solstices, and equinoxes produced not only calendars, but a subtle sense of cosmic participation. Every temple shadow, every angle of light, every rare solar phenomenon became a footnote in the ever-unfurling script of time, a rhythm as comforting as it was humbling. Allow yourself to rest in the gentle knowledge that our ancestors' sacred cycles were shaped by both the reassurance and unpredictability of the sun. Their stories, calendars, and ceremonies whisper softly through the centuries. The sun may offer order, but within its rhythm, it sometimes stirs the world awake. Now, let your awareness drift among ancient records, where words carved in stone or scrawled onto fragile parchment tell more than just the familiar rhythms of seasons and rituals. Sometimes, these records offer glimpses into moments when regular cycles gave way to upheaval, when the sky or the sun delivered not just light, but confusion or fear. Across Sumer and Babylonia, cuneiform tablets recount portents and omens, offering measured details about eclipses, odd celestial alignments, and days when the heavens burned. In Egypt, papyri and monument inscriptions occasionally veer from routine praise songs to speak of days of darkness or the sky unleashing blood and fire. For the Maya, jaguar and serpent motifs slither across stele, hinting at times when sunlight was split or painted with destructive radiance. In China, imperial astronomers recorded red vapors in the night sky, fire in the heavens, and the stars washed clean. These rare descriptions, set apart from calendar entries or astrological warnings, capture moments of mounting anxiety and reverent wonder. Similar language appears on Norse runestones, which sometimes warn that after the wolf chases the sun, the sky may burn. In each case, the text steps away from daily chronicle and becomes a vessel for extraordinary memory. Events understood as omens, if not as mysteries of astronomical origin. The language is rarely literal. What reads to a modern mind as metaphor or myth could veil a record of an event akin to the Carrington Event, a solar storm scrawled imperfectly into the memory of elders, scribes, and storytellers. Even catastrophic weather, famine, or political disaster might be entwined with descriptions of heavenly disturbance, blending cosmic disorder with earthly consequence. To the people of those ages, such moments became more than footnotes. They became signals in the ongoing conversation with the cosmos, pressing them toward rituals, reforms, or prayers for balance restored. As you let your mind meander across these ancient inscriptions, sense the comfort in humanity's urge to record and remember, to encode warning and wonder through poetry or symbol. While direct science was absent, their vigilance made them keen observers, and their careful testimony still echoes gently across the centuries. Ease your mind into the gentle shadows where history and myth softly entwine. Not every ancient response to cosmic disturbances took the form of recorded words. Often, warnings were encoded into the living patterns of ritual, artistic symbol, and collective memory. Through these channels, the essence of extraordinary sky events slips quietly into the enduring weave of culture, gently shaping behaviors and beliefs for generations. Picture the annual sun ceremonies of the Zuni and Hopi nations, where dancers adorned in vivid colors circulate through the Pueblo plazas with precise, deliberate steps. Their movements are not only a form of prayer for ongoing harmony, but a careful retelling of cosmic stories, a subtle acknowledgement that order in the heavens cannot be taken for granted. Masks, painted with whirlwinds or flames, Remind all who gather that the familiar sky can sometimes surprise, and that respect for its cycles ensures safety. In the Nile Valley, Egypt's New Year festival marked the heliacal rising of Sirius, and ensured the renewal of both land and sun. Yet, if omens of a disturbed or burning sky occurred in proximity to this sacred event, the ritual would subtly shift. Prayers grow more urgent, the tone of processions more somber, and the stories passed to children more insistent about the power and potential ire of Ra. Symbols of fire or red pigment in temple art may thus carry layered meaning. Celebration, certainly, but also remembrance of times when sunlight seemed less benign. The Maya, as their own world balanced between abundance and drought, conducted ceremonies during rare and turbulent celestial events, weaving new tales into old cycles. Priests would add small stone markers or altar glyphs to reflect years of sun in turmoil, integrating whispers of warning into festival and architecture alike. These traditions anchor communities to an ongoing story bigger than any single generation, a gentle way to prepare, remember, and respect what cannot be controlled, even in less formalized cultures. Campfire stories and the whispered advice of elders transformed unsettling sky events into guiding lessons, reinforcing the wisdom of staying attuned to cosmic rhythms and always maintaining a quiet humility before nature's unpredictability. Through ritual, symbol, and the living thread of memory, the ancients fostered a soft vigilance, a calming reassurance, and, at times, a durable warning. Their responses echo into our present, offering both comfort and a gentle invitation to listen more closely to the sky. Let your mind rest among the gentle uncertainties of history, where so much of the ancient world is shrouded in quiet ambiguity. When we search for traces of solar catastrophes in centuries past, the evidence is fragile, a tapestry woven from faded symbols, half-remembered stories, and the enduring march of time. The challenge is simple, yet profound. Nature's greatest sky shows, like auroras or solar storms, leave few direct marks. Unlike earthquakes, which fracture the ground, or volcanic eruptions, which deposit ash that endures for millennia, a solar event washes over the earth softly, its passage recorded mainly in memory, art, and indirect narrative. Auroras fade from the heavens and from immediate memory alike, their power rarely inscribing itself directly into the soil or stone. Language itself quietly changes over the ages. What an ancient scribe called heaven on fire may refer to an eclipse, meteors, a great storm, or a vast auroral display, a spectrum of possibilities, filtered by culture, belief, and immediate context. As stories move across generations, details blur, folding wonder into warning, and omens into fragments of lost experience. Each retelling is shaped as much by the fears and hopes of its hearers as by the original event. Material artifacts, such as decorated discs, obelisks, and calendar stones, tell us that the ancients tracked the sun with devotion, yet they rarely distinguish between routine cycles and extraordinary disturbance. Even inscriptions that do suggest disruption may have meanings lost in metaphor or altered by translation. Scientific methods help a little. Cores sampled from ancient trees and ice can sometimes record an increase in radioactive elements, offering quiet clues of cosmic storms. But these, too, are rare. A fleeting spike in carbon-14 or beryllium, a footnote in a much larger story, still debated and re-examined by modern researchers. Thus, while it is possible and tempting to read myth and ruin as testaments to ancient Solar catastrophe. The evidence remains delicate, incomplete, a gentle, persistent mystery. What endures is a soft uncertainty and an enduring respect for the sky, whispered through stone, ritual, and the stories that linger long after the fires of memory have dimmed. Let yourself become comfortable with the quiet not knowing, the treasures and secrets lost in transmission, and the tender persistence of humanity's urge to remember. Now draw a deep, gentle breath, and imagine the slow passage of centuries, the steady, subtle transformation of fearsome events into wisdom and reassurance. While the tangible remnants of ancient solar upheavals are scarce, what quietly survives is perhaps even more meaningful. The lessons encoded, almost imperceptibly, in the patterns of tradition, story, and the enduring architecture of belief. Across countless cultures, the unpredictability of the sky finds its way into a comforting rhythm, rituals, festivals, cycles of thanks and petition that form a kind of gentle shield against uncertainty. With each sunrise, ancient peoples offered gratitude, and with every eclipse or sudden aurora, they built a structure for responding, through prayer, renewal, or the gentle sharing of myth. Deep beneath the surface of these practices runs an undercurrent of resilience, a recognition that while the heavens may bring surprise or even catastrophe, community and memory persist in patient adaptation. Some traditions lent themselves not just to reassurance, but to vigilance. Calendar stones, sun-aligned pyramids, and watchful priesthoods were not only celebrations of cosmic order, but a soft, enduring call to pay attention. A constant, slow reminder to mark both regular blessings and rare disruptions alike. In each, you may sense the conscious choice to remember without fear, a calm acknowledgement of what cannot be controlled, balanced with the hope that, through understanding, the next disturbance will bring less anxiety, more preparation. Even today, these ancient lessons thread quietly through modern consciousness. The cautious awe with which we greet auroras, or the ritualized observation of solar eclipses, echoes not only wonder, but the comforting habits handed down by generations long gone. The impulse to share sky stories, to build in harmony with the sun, or to pause and marvel at cosmic surprise, endures as a gentle inheritance. Thus, as you rest at the edge of sleep, reflect on how ancient responses to burning skies persist in the everyday, woven as much through reassurance as through anxiety. Humanity's legacy is not only one of survival, but of softening chaos with meaning, uncertainty with community, and awe with a gentle, ongoing promise that the lessons of catastrophe, once learned, become calm, drift forward in time into a world where careful measurement, shared knowledge, and silent satellites circle the earth, where ancient people gazed at the sun with a blend of awe and uncertainty. Today's scientists peer closely, their instruments trained on every flicker and flare upon the solar surface. The mysteries are not gone, but now tempered by layers of observation and emerging understanding. Solar storms, once interpreted as omens or divine tempests, are now clearer in their origin. We know that the sun is not a constant lamp, but a churning, magnetic sphere. Its surface boils and seethes, arcs of plasma curling in titanic loops, sometimes erupting into space with astounding force. These ejections, whether solar flares or coronal mass ejections, send clouds of energetic particles toward the Earth, woven into magnetic fields that reach across unimaginable distance. Our tools are precise. Satellites like SOHO and SDO monitor the sun's every move, alerting scientists to patterns that once could only be guessed at. They witness sunspots, the dark, cooler regions on the solar disk, growing and shrinking with an 11-year solar cycle, as if the sun itself breathes through seasons and storms. When solar energy brushes against Earth's magnetic shield, it triggers auroras, those delicate curtains of green and red across the poles. At their most powerful, however, solar storms can do more than paint the sky. They can disrupt electronics, disable satellites, and threaten the power grid below, just as they once sparked telegraph wires in the age of Carrington. Yet, even with this knowledge, so much remains uncharted. Scientists still puzzle over which storms will strike hardest, how Earth's magnetic shield will respond, and what subtle fingerprints such an event might leave behind in trees, rocks, or ice. The need for vigilance, the same careful eye once turned by ancient priest and skywatcher, continues, now supported by technology yet still alive with curiosity and caution. Let yourself drift in the soft light of understanding, where ancient anxiety has become patient study, and where even the greatest storms inspire not only fear, but hope for deeper knowledge. Ease into a world where clues to cosmic history lie quietly embedded in the fabric of the earth itself. Beyond stone, beyond story, the rhythm of ancient solar storms is written subtly into the slow growth of trees and the silent layering of ice in the farthest reaches of the globe. Here, science and nature combine to record subtle traces of cosmic events, records more patient than rumor, as enduring as the sun's silent journey. Far above the poles, glaciers grow year by year, layer by gentle layer, each thin band capturing the faint breath of weather and the ghostly signature of events in the sky above. Deep within these ancient ice sheets, scientists draw careful cores, something like nature's time capsules, that hold not only traces of volcanic ash or climatic shifts, but also whispers of solar storms, slight chemical changes such as spikes in the isotope beryllium-10 becomes silent evidence of times when Earth was showered by increased cosmic and solar energy. Elsewhere, in shady forests where trees stand as witnesses to centuries, dendrochronologists peer into the concentric tails. Within their trunks, rings grow wider in fruitful years, thinner in seasons of drought. But hidden between these pale lines are minute surges of radioactive carbon-14. Now and then, most notably in 774 to 775 CE and 993 to 994 CE, these isotopes leap abruptly, marking moments when, even if no chronicle survives, the Earth itself remembers a powerful celestial outburst. Perhaps a Carrington-like event occurred, surprising those long-ago societies with skies alight, their astonishment only dimly suggested in later generation stories. These natural records offer us fragile, indirect bridges between myth and science. They do not tell us what people saw or how they felt, but they confirm that solar storms have indeed struck the planet before, some severe enough to echo softly within the growing wood or the deepening ice. Let the idea comfort you that even when written language fades, the quiet, assured memory of the planet endures. The Earth itself holds a gentle testimony, supporting and sometimes surprising the stories we inherit from ages past. Now, allow your thoughts to settle into the space between certainty and possibility, where myth and reality often intermingle. For all our modern tools, satellites, spectrometers, and isotope readings, there remains a tender reliance on story, on the half-remembered dreams and metaphors that the ancients wove when faced with skybound disturbances. Across cultures, myths often serve as gentle repositories for real events that defy easy explanation. A tale of a dragon swallowing the sun, of a goddess pursued through the sky, or of a world-threatening red sky becomes a kind of vessel, protecting the memory of extraordinary happenings even as literal details fade. The auroras of ancient nights, storms of cosmic origin, and sudden days of unnatural brightness may all survive as fragments in the stories handed down by grandmothers, scribes, and village elders. Science, in its quiet pursuit, has begun to confirm that some mythic events do, in fact, echo real phenomena. The Norse apprehension of endless winter, the Hopi prophecies of a shifting sky, and the Egyptian fears linked to omens. Each finds a faint but perceptible ally in the climate records, tree rings, or ice cores that show hints of rare but dramatic disruptions. Though the shape of the memory may be softened by imagination, its core often holds a kernel of truth. A recollection of a night when the sky itself changed and demanded attention. It is in this gentle overlap that we find reassurance. Myth is not mere fantasy, but a soft encasement for memory. Ancient rituals and modern science both serve the yearning to understand and to prepare. To live attuned to the world's unpredictabilities without yielding to constant worry. As you listen, let the boundary between fact and myth feel smooth and welcoming. Both, in their own way, offer gentle guidance. Myth carries feeling, science provides context, and together they create a richer comfort as we face the wonders and uncertainties above. Now, bring your thoughts gently into the present, where the sun's patterns ripple quietly through headlines and scientific conferences. The language of prophecy may have softened, but the core message remains: awareness, preparedness, and calm. Vigilance are as relevant now as they ever were. Our contemporary world is stitched together by technologies infinitely more delicate than the crude telegraph wires of the 19th century. Streams of data swirl around the planet at all hours, ferried by invisible satellites and anchored by networks of global communication. Daily comforts are quietly reliant on the steady passage of electric current and the humming of unseen servers. Fragile threads that can be quickly frayed by solar storms. Even tiny disturbances unnoticed by the broader public. The Carrington Event remains a gentle warning, a case study and a question. What would such a storm mean in an age of electronic dependency? In boardrooms and observatories, scientists model the impact of a major coronal mass ejection, simulating blackouts, communication loss, and months-long disruptions. Governments, quietly, draft careful plans for recovery, urging power companies to strengthen grids and space agencies to design satellites that anticipate flare and storm. The rhythm of modern life, so seamless, is now supported by layers of backup and cautious monitoring, echoing, in its own way, the rituals and ceremonies of ages past. The hope is not to inspire anxiety, but to replace uncertainty with gentle, active preparation. Just as our ancestors responded with myth, symbol, and cycle, so now do we answer with scientific foresight and steady protocols. By quietly accepting the potential of rare disturbance, we are able to weave resilience into our daily pace, adding yet another layer to the comfort humanity seeks in the face of cosmic unpredictability. Let your mind settle into this balance. Rather than worry, there is comfort in knowing that we carry both the memory of past disruptions and the foresight to gently adapt. The story of the sun and its storms continues, now told in both the calm of ritual and the clarity of science. Picture, if you will, a night washed in starlight, as quiet as the ones your ancestors knew. Yet above our heads, An intricate ballet unfolds among silent satellites and tireless telescopes. In the modern age, skywatching is both ancient meditation and high technology. The rhythm of observation continues, only now with new tools, new vantage points, and fresh omens to consider. Across the world, observatories perch on mountains, their domes softly tracking the sun's restless activity with devotion that echoes the watchfulness of old astronomer priests. Far above the clouds, fleets of satellites, SOHO, Stereo, and Parker Solar Probe, circle and study, unraveling bursts of solar wind and deciphering the language of sunspots. Each image and data burst is a gentle step closer to understanding the unpredictable cycles of our star. For scientists, every shift in the sun's mood is registered and interpreted. A cluster of sunspots here, a projection of a flare there. The slow onrush of a geomagnetic storm measured and relayed around the globe. With alertness, networks of monitors across continents and oceans transmit real-time warnings, so quiet and routine that many in the world sleep through them, comforted by the constancy of nightly power and internet, unaware of just how close. These silent sentinels keep us from surprise. For lay sky watchers and dreamers, contemporary auroras are as much a source of wonder as they ever were. Social media and instant alerts gently nudge families outdoors when red and green curtains appear in skies far from the poles. Reminders that the cosmos is alive and ever-changing. The impulse to gather, to marvel, and to share a sense of collective awe persists unchanged, even as the language of omens now takes the form of graphs, plots, and quiet bulletins. The underlying human response remains familiar. Caution does not overshadow wonder. The more we see, the more we are inclined toward humility and a calming acceptance that the universe will always retain some mystery. Let this gentle movement of sky scanning, of quiet anticipation, of community in both science and spirit soothe your thoughts. The watchers still watch, and as technology marches on, our connection to the sun deepens, echoing traditions old and new. Allow your thoughts to gently bridge the gap between the private recollections of individuals and the broader, enduring memory of a planet. The Carrington Event, once a singular amazement marked by hurried notes and astonished telegrams, has become, over the centuries, a soft thread running through both local and global consciousness. In quiet archives and tucked-away journals, fragments of the 1859 storm are preserved. A telegrapher's anxious letter, a farmer's nocturnal sketch, a city dweller's marveling at midnight auroras. These fragile accounts, sometimes buried in family attics or local museums, form the personal echoes of a night when ordinary life was put on pause. A reminder that, for a brief moment, the sky itself altered the rhythm of waking and sleep. On a broader scale, the Carrington Event remains a persistent touchstone, a reference point in scientific papers, government protocols, and media musings. In classrooms, children hear the story of the day the sky caught fire, gaining a quiet sense of both wonder and gentle respect for the unpredictability of nature. For policymakers and engineers, it serves as a case study in vulnerability, a silent motivator for layered precautions and gentle public alerts. This layered memory grows each time the sun flares brightly or the auroras reach unusual latitudes. As the question rises once more, could it happen again? Old accounts are revisited, compared to new data. News reports reference the Carrington Event, connecting the lived past to the anticipation of a possible tomorrow. What was once a curious episode becomes, with the passage of generations, a calming lesson in adaptation, continuity, and hope. Through local memory, preserved in small precious stories, and global awareness, kept alive by science, preparedness, and subtle awe, the lessons of the Carrington Event continue. They gently guide how we approach the sun, the sky, and one another, reminding us that extraordinary events, no matter how rare, are softened by remembrance and community. Allow this quiet continuity to settle over you, comforting as a cherished story retold on a peaceful night. For even as the sky changes, our memories remain, gently shaping the days and nights to come. Let your thoughts settle calmly at the crossroads where reason and imagination meet. In every culture, the effort to explain the unexplained gives birth both to precise measurements and to poetic retellings. Science charts numbers and patterns, while story fills in the quiet spaces between. Neither is wholly complete without the other. Each adds its own comforting layer to the human experience of awe and risk beneath the sun. Science, in its measured tones, patiently disentangles the workings of sun and sky. It employs satellites, instruments, and formulas to provide us with reliable explanations. Solar flares, coronal mass ejections, and geomagnetic storms. Through careful observation, researchers rule out some of the wilder conjectures that once filled evenings beside ancient hearths. Yet there remains a gentle humility in true science, an acknowledgement that even as understanding grows, the universe retains its capacity for the unexpected. The sky is not yet fully tamed. In contrast, legend and myth live on the tongue within. The rhythms of ritual and familial memory. These stories offer comfort when explanation falters, gently suggesting that chaos may serve a purpose, or that awe itself is precious. Myths blur the lines between cosmic events and human lessons, wrapping lived experience in metaphor and meaning. The Hopi's red sky, the Norse wolf chase, and the Mayan burning dawn all distill anxiety into images the mind can hold, teaching resilience and acceptance in the face of what science cannot yet predict. As the two traditions blend over centuries, they create not contradiction but complement. Scientific knowledge reassures by offering preparation and perspective, while fable and myth soothe by providing context, emotional resonance, and a timeless link to those who came before. When a solar storm flickers at the poles, or a satellite warning scrolls quietly by, it is not just a measure of electricity. It is a gentle echo of legends, old fears, and calm, recited wisdom. Allow yourself to rest within this partnership, where numbers and stories, measurements and myths combine to soften uncertainty. Both science and legend, met gently, can cradle the mind, balancing the promise of discovery with the comfort of tradition. Now, turn your attention softly to the present, an era illuminated by both knowledge and renewed curiosity. Around the world, the sun cycles steadily toward a predicted peak in activity, its surface swirling with energy that promises both wonder and a gentle recurrence of concern. The year 2025 has become a quiet marker, not of dread, but of a communal reawakening. A time when professional and amateur skywatchers alike look up together, sharing a slow, collective breath. Astronomers, grounded in robust technology, issue calm forecasts and quietly monitor a sun growing a bit more restless. Space agencies coordinate with electrical grid operators and airline officials, their plans thoughtful and unhurried. New websites and smartphone applications allow ordinary citizens to track sunspots and aurora alerts, making each flare or burst a gentle, global event. In city parks, on lake shores, and in quiet backyards. Families and friends gather after sunset, scanning the northern and southern horizons for elusive hints of color. This renewed focus on the sky rekindles traditions that stretch across millennia. Children's voices, raised in astonished delight at green or red auroras, echo the awe of their ancestors. Calm television segments and news articles retell the story of the Carrington Event, gently blending caution with wonder. Myths and science intermingle, while we rely on technical models to soothe our anxieties. We are quietly comforted by the ritual of gathering, watching, and remembering. In this shared practice, old lessons endure. Watchfulness need not breed fear, and preparedness flows best from a place of calm curiosity rather than panic. The cycle of the sun, more familiar now than ever, is no less magnificent for being better understood. The interplay of shadow and light, of storms that might come and those that pass us by, ensures that life beneath the sky is always just a little bit more beautiful, mysterious, and profound. Let yourself rest in this collective watchfulness, gentle, hopeful, and ever linked to the rhythms of those who have watched before. The sky, for all its changes, is always the same sky, ready to cradle both the bright lessons of science and the subtle comforts of story. Allow yourself to feel the gentle merging of old knowledge and new practice. The quiet acceptance that life beneath the sun is always touched by uncertainty, but also by the wisdom gathered through millennia of observation and adaptation. Across the ages, each generation has balanced caution with curiosity, creating a rhythm of response as soothing as breath itself. Acceptance, in this context, is not surrender, but a kind of peaceful readiness. When ancient skywatchers told stories of sun gods and burning skies, they were preparing the heart, nurturing a soft resilience before the unknown. When modern scientists model the impacts of solar storms on fragile infrastructures, they too are crafting reassurance, building comfort from data, vigilance from experience. Adaptation, in both historic and present terms, emerges as a gentle process. Rituals shift, calendars are revised, and new stories are told to meet each era's needs. In times when the sky is tranquil, customs provide continuity. In years when the sun's mood grows wild, new measures are put in place, old stories retold with fresh meaning. The guidance may be scientific or mythic, yet both foster belonging, perspective, and calm. From the patient carvings of ancient obelisks to the quick signals of modern satellites, the wisdom of acceptance and adaptation becomes a shared legacy. The world's communities, connected now, in real time, are anchored by the knowledge that while some surprises cannot be avoided, they can be softened by cooperation, preparation, and empathy. There is a quiet solidarity in this, a sense that, across continents and centuries, humanity endures, not just through strength, but through gentle calibration to the unpredictable. So, as you sink deeper into relaxation, let the thought of adaptation comfort you, a bridge from ancient rites to modern protocols, from whispered prophecy to measured prediction. The cycles of the sun persist, and so too does the reassurance that, together, we are always learning how to move with its light. Let the final notes of this gentle journey settle softly around you, much like the darkening hush that follows sunset. As you rest beneath today's sky, quiet and constant, remember that you do so at the end of a long lineage. Each era has witnessed its own blend of awe and anxiety, of burning skies and ordinary dawns, of panic and peace gradually woven back into the fabric of daily life. Tonight, as you close your eyes, imagine the immense calmness with which the universe continues its ceaseless rhythm. The sun, whose cycles once fueled myth and, at times, gentle fear, continues to shine each day, punctuating darkness with brilliance and sometimes, if rarely, with surprise. The earth, patient and adaptable, offers the comfort of memory in rings of wood, layers of ice, and the venerable stones that shape sacred landscapes. Scientific knowledge reassures us, preparing quietly for what may come, building layers of understanding as surely as the ancients built temples and altars. Myths and stories linger not to frighten, but to carry wisdom in their imagery and symbols, soothing the spirit when answers are few. Together, fact and fable create an atmosphere where wonder and acceptance coexist, where sky-watching becomes relaxation and cosmic anxiety is gently softened by continuity and care. In this moment, you are cradled beneath an ever-watchful sky. The storms of the past have come and gone. Their memory leaves you safer, wiser, and more deeply connected to all who have ever gazed upward with hope and humility. You have inherited not only survival, but the ability to find peace amid uncertainty, a gift as soft and powerful as the first light of dawn through a window. Allow your breath to slow, finding comfort in the knowledge that whatever comes, sunrise, aurora, or calm blue sky, you rest within the embrace of all that has been learned, remembered, and prepared. The world is at peace. The heavens, for now, are gentle. Rest easy beneath the same stars that watched over the ancients. Let the quiet rhythm of past and present lull you gently into sleep, and may you wake with reverence for the beauty and mystery always overhead. As our journey together draws to a close and the tapestry of sunlit stories slowly fades, allow a feeling of comfort and settled quiet to fill the space around you. You have drifted through ages, watched burning skies and gentle dawns alike, and nestled into the soothing embrace of legend, wisdom, and unfolding knowledge. In the presence of mystery, you have learned that peace is possible even in uncertainty. You have discovered that the rhythms of the sun and the patience of the earth can be trusted, that both myth and science are gentle companions, offering guidance, protection, and perspective from the most ancient rituals to the latest signals. From space, so, as you close your eyes, sense the subtle hush that fills the night, echoing the steady beat of countless generations before you. Imagine the soft glow of auroras, whether born from cataclysm or calm, settling just outside your window, drawing a veil of beauty and reassurance around you. Know that you are joined by all those who have ever watched the sky with a mixture of hope and humility. All those who have found in the suns return the promise of another day. Let your breath become slow and gentle, your thoughts as unhurried as the drifting clouds. Release any lingering anxieties to the steady world outside, holding instead the soothing certainty that you rest within a story still being written. A story where fear is met with preparation, where awe is welcomed, and where sleep returns with every sunset. With each heartbeat, you are wrapped in the quiet comfort of the ever-watchful sky. Let yourself drift into peaceful rest, carried by the ageless rhythm of sun and stars. And may your dreams be as serene and safe as the world you now inhabit, calm, protected, and connected to wonders both old and new. Sleep well, beneath the burning sky remembered, and beneath the quiet sky that watches gently over you now. Thank you for listening, and good night.